Hello, Council. Thank you for allowing me to present today. Very sensitive subject. I have been talking about this now for just about 4.5 years, and I've presented numerous times to the likes of Councillor Darren Hill, Councillor Gow, Councillor Jeffries. You've asked important questions, all of you have, but have you received answers? You know, Councillor Hill has asked about that the mapping wasn't right because I presented that. That was 3 years ago. You still haven't presented a buffer map for the chemical buffer. So now you're not putting anything out. You keep talking about this buffer, but nobody has anything to refer to. The chemical buffer zone doesn't allow public assembly, which includes retail. And you're not allowed any public assembly. It's not just a little bit. And if you're in a building and not allowed public assembly, which is the only place you can protect your life, you sure don't have any right to have public assembly in an open field or on top of a bridge or under a bridge. And yet you've had a very large public event that was not prepared for. And people were at risk, and those chemical plants were operating. The one that can kill people was operating while you had that event. And you don't want to talk about it. I get it. And now the Meewasin Valley Trail goes through there and it ties into Wanuskewin, and you're not wanting to put signs up to tell people, but you want to tell people that they have to buy land, they have to sign that they need to know they need shelter in place. You don't want to give them a map. Recently found out that the EMO director doesn't understand what public assembly really means even. So they're looking for a twist on, well, I don't know, is that really public assembly if there's 90 kids walking under the Chief Mistawas's Bridge, which was my example? Well, I don't really know if that's what's the definition of public assembly. Really? After 3 years of all of this talk, the EMO director doesn't have a map and they don't understand what public assembly is. So that's the only two things they need to know to be able to do their job properly, and they don't know it. So what have they been doing other than nothing? The direct mailer that they're talking about now that maybe they'll get around to, 3 years ago, Councillor Gow asked about that directly to the EMO director. Nothing's happened since. They said they were doing all these inspections when it was presented at city administration, so I asked about it, and no inspection reports were found. No business I've ever talked to has ever had it. And when I asked about it, all of a sudden your solicitor said, we consider the matter closed and we will not discuss it further. Really? I wrote to the fire chief, and that's the response I got. So what is it you don't want to talk about? If you want to sell land, brand new land, and you've got better covenants, that's good. That's what you should have done for the beginning. That's fair. People will know. But if you don't have a map that shows where the chemical buffer is, and you're talking about this obscure thing, and you're using zoning that's almost identically written to IL2 for IH2, and all of the problem areas and all the problem definitions that were the biggest problem with IL2 are copied into IH2, well, you're just carrying the same problem on that the same planners created in the first place. University Heights sector plan is flawed. They show commercial going into the chemical buffer, which can't exist because you can't have public assembly and you can't have retail, even though you've been allowing it. You can't allow it legally. So it's interesting that they still haven't fixed that plan, but yet they referred to it for the USASC plan. Still, after all these years. I want to know when you're going to fix these things. It's 4.5 years later, and you've been trying to just dodge me. I'm wrong and inaccurate, according to you. That's what your posts are. When I did a privacy declaration to find this out, you redacted everything and claimed that it was part of privileged conversations with your lawyer. Well, then why did you publish it publicly? I want to know what I'm wrong about. I sincerely do, and if I am wrong, I'll apologize. But interesting enough, you can't come up with anything so far. So it's nice to say it. I can tell you that you guys have given a lot of not truthful information at council by administration for things that have not taken place, that the city is not doing yet after all these years, but implying that they've been doing it all along. So if you want to go there, then we should go there. But I would rather you just fix these problems properly now. You mail directly to people. You notify people when they buy land, and you double back and tell the people that bought land that maybe they need to have a little bit of provision just so they're aware. And then the final thing is when the general public goes walking through that area so they know they're entering a risk zone that requires immediate shelter in place provisions. That's all I want. So please, let's get on with this and let's do the right thing for a change. Land branch has started. Let's see where everybody else follows. Thank you very much.